Welcome to the Herd and 10 podcast. Here's your host, Jake Fortinsky.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Herd and 10 podcast. I'm your host, Jake Fortinsky, joined by my co-host, Corbin, Bryant. We got a lot to talk about today. The Bills, of course, have won the AFC East. They beat the Jets 27-10. They did have some ups and downs during the game. It wasn't the cleanest win, but it was a win. And the Bills looked good later in the game, so I think we can be glad that they looked that way. The Bills are taking on a New England Patriots. This will be basically 3.0 after we lost once to the Patriots. We then went and beat them. We won the division. We're at home, which is obviously a great thing. This is an interesting game. There's a lot to unpack here because the Bills have looked really bad against the Patriots and they've looked really good. I don't know which team we're going to see. I'm hoping we're going to see this newly improved Buffalo Bills, which I want to talk specifically about the run game here. We got to be so impressed. This new Bills offensive line, this revamped offensive line with Ryan Bates, looks like a completely different story. Corbin, before we started recording here, you were talking specifically that you had watched the Bills offensive line. You wanted to see what they were doing right. And you had a lot to say about what they were doing against the Jets. And my hope is they'll be able to do that against the Patriots, right?
That's right, Jake. And if anybody was following me on Twitter yesterday, you saw when I was tweeting during the first drive and Singletary had that huge explosion play that, Devin Singletary, he has to hit the hole, but the offensive line opened that thing wide open. He had about, 2.5 yards on either side to hit the hole and make that large run. So our offensive line, kudos to those guys. We've been getting on them all season, and they have found a way, along with the coaching staff, to put it together and to go out there and play with some toughness and play with some heart and play like they have something on the line. And I think a lot of that has to do with what they know they have in Josh Allen. The guy is just a fantastic player. And, if you have like a nobody guy back there, how motivated are you to go out there and play? I don't know. As a former player, it's hard when you don't have talent, but the Bills do have the talent. And when you're a player and you recognize that you have a guy like that back there that's literally carrying the team, he's carried the team the entire season. So why not look to your left and look to your right to your other offensive linemen and say, hey, we got to do better. We got to block better. We got to be tougher. And it seems like it's paying off. And kudos to the coaching staff and to all the guys, our front five up there, playing their tails off. And they've even been doing well in the pass game as well. But that's another story. Our running game the last 2 weeks has been fantastic. Granted, we've played the Falcons and the Jets, but these are NFL teams, and they scheme as well, and they have coaches as well, and they have first-round picks as well. But, we're going to be going up against a New England Patriots team this weekend that's 21st against the run. They haven't been playing the run very well. They have some guys that they signed in the offseason, but it seems like those guys haven't been panning out as far as the run game. But I would be naive if I did not say that Bill Belichick will have a plan. He's the greatest coach of all time. So I'm not going to sit back and say we're going to run straight through him. But we have to continue this positive momentum. And if we continue to do that, I like where we're headed in the run game, especially, with, Josh adding his 2 cents in there. He had 66 yards rushing yesterday. What we've been doing in that area has been fantastic.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what's been happening in our run game. We spent so much time over the last few months talking about that the Bills need to be able to run the ball, and they finally are doing it, and we're seeing success. Yes, granted, the teams haven't been great opponents, but nonetheless, these are wins. These are stacking wins against teams that might not be as good, might be inferior, but it's the way you're doing it. The fact that we are showing that we are not a one-dimensional offense, because for the first few months, That is exactly what the Buffalo Bills were. They were trying to force the ball, and if they weren't able to, they were pretty much shut down. The new Buffalo Bills are not like that. You want to shut down our pass? No problem. We'll hand it off to Devin Singletary, and he'll get the yards we need. You want to cover the run against Devin Singletary? We'll screen. We'll throw screens to him and get him out in the open field and let him bedazzle his way through and gain some big yardage, maybe get touchdowns, which of course did against the Jets. I'm just so impressed with what we've done on the offense. But I also want to talk about, because I don't want us to forget about the defense. What this Bills defense has done throughout the season has been impressive. They're the number one defense in the league, and I feel like it's not talked about enough. Teams should be afraid to play us because of our defense. Forget about Josh Allen. Forget about Stephon Diggs. Forget about our offense right now. Just talking about our defense, we are the strongest defense in the NFL, and I believe teams should be fearful of that, and I don't know if they are. And I think part of that is because we're not a flashy defense. Everyone does their job, and that's the exact reason why we've practically forgotten about Tre'Davious White. I remember when he went down, I thought the Bills were down and out. I thought they were finished without him. I thought their defense wouldn't survive without him. And boy, was I wrong. They have been perfectly fine. Not only that, our defense has been just as good. We haven't lost a step. Our secondary has been strong. Our linebackers have handled their business. Our defensive line has gotten better as the season's gone on. You talked about it earlier. We had a lot of sacks against the New York Jets. Yes, they're the New York Jets, but the fact is we're getting through. We're finally getting penetration, and we're putting pressure on the quarterback. That's something we're going to have to do against the Patriots. There is no way the Patriots are going to run the ball 40 plus times. And if they do, I think we'll shut them down. So Mac Jones is going to have to find a way to beat us. Is there a weak spot on our defense that maybe Mac Jones and the Patriots can take care of or take advantage of? I personally don't really think there's a massive weakness. I think we can shut him down. Corbin, do you have a difference of opinion here?
Jake, definitely not. The key here is that against the Patriots, you have to stop the run. And as you can see, the game that the Patriots lost, I watched a little bit of the game yesterday against the Dolphins. I mean, they stopped the run and they forced Mac Jones to throw the ball, in which he threw a pick and they were turning the ball over all over the place. So if you can stop the Patriots from getting 3-4 yards a pop in the run game, then you're all good, because Mac Jones, is he going to be a good player someday? Maybe. I mean, is he an okay player now? Sure. But you put the ball in the hands of a rookie quarterback that's very unsure of himself. I mean, there's nothing really for us to worry about. Josh McDaniels is a great offensive coordinator. From my experience playing against the Patriots, they always have something up their sleeve, some trick play, some Statue of Liberty play, some handoff and throw back to the quarterback and throw it deep, that kind of thing. So we can expect to see some of that. I can almost guarantee you that they're going to throw some type of trick play at us to get us off our game, because like you said, we're the number one defense in the league. But the one way they probably feel that they can get us is in the run game. But the Bills are right middle of the pack, upper middle of the pack in the league and stopping the run. If you take out the Indianapolis game in which we got trampled, I mean, we're moving into the top 10 in run defense, just to be honest with you. So I don't see any holes in our defense. But our guys, they have to come to play, and they know that. They know what time it is. We've been in the playoffs, numerous times now, and we got guys like Harrison Phillips up front playing well against the run. Ed Oliver's been playing well against the run. Gregory Rousseau has been playing well against the run as well. So I like that matchup. I like every point of our defense against the Patriots offense this weekend.
Let's talk about something that to me is kind of out of left field, but injuries. Do we need to be concerned at all about protecting Josh Allen in this game? I hate to get into this, but the fact of the matter is the Patriots have injured him before. And I'm not about to say that anyone's paying anyone to injure anyone, but there's no question the Patriots are willing to get down and dirty. They are that kind of team, particularly when you're talking about playoffs, especially when, generally speaking, they are the inferior team in this matchup. When we look at the offense, defense, special teams, they're probably the inferior team. Do we need to be worried at all that they're somehow going to try to shake things up, try to take some extra hits on Josh? We know he's going to run a little bit. He's obviously got to go down or get out of bounds, but you better believe they're probably going to rough him up a little bit, right?
I mean, that's just the game of football, Jake. I mean, anytime you get to the quarterback, and now even though they're trying to protect quarterbacks now, like when Josh Allen is running, they're going to hit him. But I try within my heart to think that people aren't out there trying to hurt people. But I'm one man. People can do whatever they want to do. But I think as long as Josh protects himself in the run, he'll be fine. But the one thing that, like I stated earlier, the Patriots, their biggest advantage is Bill Belichick. And what I believe he is going to do against Josh, because Josh is great rolling to his right. Anytime he rolls to his right, he rolls to his right all the time, right? And every time he does that, he's very successful, throwing it back across his body, throwing it deep, or even taking it for a run. So Bill Belichick's scheme this weekend, and I hope he's not listening, is to force him to his left. Because Josh Allen, he's a top-tier player. He can throw to his left, but it's a lot more difficult to throw running to his left than to his right, because that's his dominant. So what you're going to see from the Patriots this weekend is they're going to try to, in passing situations in which we are a passing team, they're going to try and run some flushes to the point where they're going to run everybody at him from the left side to force him to run right and make passes. And Josh Allen being a great player, I'm sure he's going to make some of those passes. But from a defensive scheme standpoint, in my head, that's the only way you can really stop the guy. I mean, the guy's going to run, but you got to find players' weak points and find teams' weak points. And that's one thing Bill Belichick has done well in his career. So fans should be on the lookout for that, but I still think Josh will thrive through it.
Yeah, so true. Josh, we've seen him do this. We know teams have schemed for him before, and he always seems to manage break free. You're not going to be surprised, or you shouldn't be surprised, if you see them also having a guy spying on Josh. I think there's a legitimate possibility. They're going to keep a close eye. They don't want him coming up the middle. They obviously don't want him rolling to his right. You know, we know how strong he is doing that. I believe he's first in the league, actually, in basically all stats on the run, play action. The guy's number one in everything. So there's no question they're going to try to scheme for that. It just becomes, can they actually stop him? And I think it's going to come down to the receivers. We saw some inconsistency for the first time in Gabriel Davis. Gabriel Davis had a couple rough drops in the game against the Jets. Now, I'm sure that will get cleaned up. I'm sure he'll be super laser focused for this game. But we're going to need those things to go smoothly. We cannot give Bill Belichick and the Patriots any opportunities to flip the field, force turnovers, anything like that. And we really, really cannot have those drop balls. We, of course, have seen Dawson Knox have many drop balls in his career. But as of late, he's looked really good. He's looked really consistent. We need that to continue. We need our receivers to show up for Josh, because there's going to be some tight plays. I don't think the Patriots are going to make it easy, and you just can't make those crucial mistakes. That leads me to special teams. Our special teams is a little interesting because I thought we had a good special teams. I thought we were okay with our punting situation, but now I have some concerns creeping into my brain. One being Matt Hack, however you want to pronounce his name. He was a hack in the game against the Jets. He muffed 3 punts in a row. He also dropped a punt and then tried to kick it. He definitely struggled. Now, that's the first time we've seen him do anything like that, but it should make you concerned going into the playoffs that your punter is maybe not the most trustworthy guy. And then on top of that, we had a different punt returner. We had Micah Hyde playing. And I like what I'm seeing from him. Yes, he doesn't have breakaway speed. He's probably not getting you a touchdown on a return, but he knows how to hold on to the ball, gain a few yards, and go down. What are your thoughts there? Do we keep going with that safe route with Micah Hyde? And do we stick with Matt Hawk as our punter, or do we consider switching? I know we have someone, I think, on the practice squad. Do we make a change now going into the playoffs?
No way in the world we're making a change. Now, the good thing about Matt Hawk is that he's a veteran. He's not a rookie. He's not going to be shook by it. He's going to shake this one off and do better. They had a little bit of weather yesterday. The wind was blowing. It definitely had some effect on the ball. So I'm not worried about Matt Hawk. He'll be fine. Usually specialist guys, they after games, a kicker miss a few field goals, a punter has some shanks. But us Bills fans should not be worried about Matt. He's going to be fine. As far as the Micah Hyde situation, I totally understand. We've had some turnover this year. We haven't had a lot, but one turnover on special teams is too many. And we had one last weekend, and I believe against Indianapolis. So Isaiah McKenzie, he had one. So what the Bills are thinking in that situation is that, okay, let's get somebody back here that we know can catch it. And Micah Hyde, he probably has some of the best hands on the team. And I remember, this is seems like years and years and years ago. I played against Micah Hyde when he was at Iowa, and he was just a do-everything guy for him. He was returning punts, returning kicks. The guy was catching interceptions and returning them. So he has that kind of skill, and he's always had it. And I remember he played in Green Bay. He didn't have the kind of role that he had now. He was more of a nickel guy. But now that he's in this bigger role, it's kind of hard for him to get in there. But with the Bills trying to lock up the AFC East, they're trying to yesterday they were trying to make sure that, okay, we can't have any turnovers. Even against a struggling Jets team, we need to get somebody back there. Are we going to see Micah Hyde back there this weekend? Possibly. I would much rather see somebody more dynamic back there that can make something happen. But if the weather gets bad and the ball is spinning up in the air, we need somebody to catch it. We need to have them in there. But if the weather's pretty clear and the wind's fine, it's normal. Let's get one of our speed guys back there, because field position is key in this game. Like the last couple of games we played against the Patriots, the Bills have surprisingly done well in the field position game. I think we probably had an average starting position of maybe 30, 40-yard line in both games. But the return game is going to be critical, especially the punt return game. If we can get a guy catching it on the 20 and getting us to the 35, perfect. So I would love to see the Bills make a change back there. But if it's something that we feel like we don't have the guy, sure, let's just go with Micah and let's see if we can push the ball down the field with Josh.
So we're talking about all these little details, all these little intricacies within the game. And I just want to tell our listeners, don't get bored of this, because these are crucial pieces. The reason Corbin and I are breaking these things down is because we believe this is going to be a close game. Yes, the Bills are the divisional leader. Yes, the Bills are better than the Patriots. But as we know, there's many times that the better team loses. The better team doesn't always win. And sometimes it's over the smallest play, a play that we think isn't significant, but it is. And it starts with, like Corbin said, field position. Just a simple thing as having better field position than your opponent could be the difference between you winning and you losing. That is how close these games are, specifically when we're in the playoffs, because every team in the playoffs is a good team. Every team in the playoffs has the ability to go the distance, to win the Super Bowl. We've seen it many times, and we could easily see that again. You could easily see a wild card team go through and win the Super Bowl. There is no doubt in my mind that there is a chance for every single team entering this year, particularly in the AFC, where I don't think there really is a superstar team. Kansas City is probably the leader, But we know the Bills can beat Kansas City. Tennessee might be in first seed, but I don't think they're that good. I think they have Derrick Henry if he's healthy, and I think that makes their team better, but I don't think they're a great team. I don't think they're a stud Super Bowl team where they're going to be impossible to beat. I don't think there's anyone like that in the AFC, and that's what feels so good about being a Bills fan in this situation. A team that didn't look good the whole season, made the playoffs, and has a good chance to not only win in this round against the Patriots, but to win again and presumably go to the Super Bowl. So there's definitely opportunities there, but the Bills have to win in every single aspect. You cannot make a terrible mistake like fumbling the ball on a punt return. I agree with you, Corbin. If the weather is right, you need a good player back there. And by good, I mean dynamic, like you said. You need McKenzie or Stevenson because, again, maybe they get us more yardage. Maybe they return a touchdown, and that's how we win the game. With Hyde, yes, you're not going to cough up the ball, but he's not going to put you in a great opportunity to win either. So I do think there is that balance between we really need to look how the game's going, how the momentum is going in the game, because that could impact whether you want to go safe and go with Hyde. You know, if you're leading by quite a bit, maybe you don't risk it. Maybe you stick with Micah Hyde and just don't take any chances of fumbling. I kind of like being more conservative unless you have to push the envelope. I'm hopeful that the Bills will start out early on, take a lead early, and play more conservatively when it comes to special teams. That's my hope. I want to end here with talking about score predictions. The Bills are currently favored by 4 points. And actually, I could have sworn that it said 4.5 points 20 minutes ago. So it's moving around here. The Bills, I think, are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be damn close. I'm just going right off the top here. I'm going to go with 27-21. I think it's going to be close. I think it's probably going to be 2 field goals or maybe a missed extra point, or a team tries to go for extra 2 points, something like that. I think the Bills are going to win, but they're certainly not going to win big. I think it's going to be a tough game, and it's not going to be a 27-21 where the Bills are up 27-10 and New England makes it interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to the wire. I think the Bills could win maybe on the last drive, even some crazy play by Josh Allen, and that's how the Bills win. Let's get your thoughts, Corbin.
Here's the thing. The Bills have to do 3 things to win this game. They have to not turn the ball over and create turnovers. They have to score in the red zone, which we did fantastic at Gillette Stadium. We went 4 for 7 in the red zone, and we have to stop the run. If we do those things, I mean, the Bills are going to be fine. But what we can't do is have a lackluster first half and keep it close like we did yesterday against the Jets. I mean, I know some fans, and even myself, was a little bit concerned seeing the halftime score yesterday, and we're going in the locker room, and we're just like, oh man, this game is so close, and we're playing the Jets. They're like they're not the worst team in the league, but they're one of them. They have a top 5 pick in the draft this year. So we have to come out strong. We have to come out guns blazing. We have to go out there and score on the first drive and kind of do every time we talk about the Patriots. It's the same thing because I understand what Bill Belichick is going to try to do. Like, he is not going to change. He's not going to give you the big play. Now, maybe since we've been running the ball better, maybe we can get a big play in the run game. But as far as the pass game, oh, no. He's putting the umbrella on top of the defense, and he's going to make you beat him in the red zone just like we did last game. So if we go down there and we get, and we go 4 for 7 or 4 for 6, or however many times we get down there and we score, I mean, this game is going to be over. So I'm going to give the Bills 31, Patriots 17, because once the Bills are ahead, it's really going to be hard for the Patriots to come back, because Mac Jones, although I think he's going to be a good player, he's not at that level just yet.
I'm liking the confidence, Corbin. That's what I like to hear. 31-17. I got them 27-21. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited for Saturday night. I'm not used to spending Saturday night watching football, but I like this. I think the NFL needs to have more Saturday night games. Although, mind you, it kind of conflicts with some more sports, hockey, etc. But it's going to be a fun game. And for those Bills fans who are getting to go to the game, oh man, I'm so jealous. I would love to be there. Saturday night, prime time. You're playing the Patriots. It's not only have we taken the division now 2 years in a row, but we are now getting the opportunity to beat them in the playoffs. I want the Bills to get that revenge. As a fan, I want the revenge on the Patriots. They've been beaten down on us for 2 decades. It's time for Buffalo to rise. It is time for the Bills to stand up and say enough. And it's going to happen Saturday night. The Bills are going to stomp the Patriots. It's going to be close, but they're going to beat them, and they're going to move on to the next round and probably take on, I believe, the Kansas City Chiefs, which will be a whole other interesting thing. But look, it's a week-to-week league. Let's stick with that, right, Corbin? I got to be like an NFL player, week to week. We got to win this game. We'll figure out next week. Corbin, go Bills.
Go Bills, everybody.